Welcome to the Love Them Knives channel. What have we got going on here today? We got some Kizer knives, the Begleiter knives. Interesting, they're not a flipper. They thumb stud, right and left hand, so ambidextrous thumb studs. They have, I think it's G10, and yes, it is. Any more these days, it's so tough with the amount of glass fill nylon and FRN, different types of materials, but these are G10 knives. They run about $55, something like that, online. 50 to 57, somewhere in there. This one's blue. They come in different colors. They have, it says Begleiter on here, Azo, I believe that may be the name of the in-house designer, and VG10, there's your model number. This is an A, ends in an A3. This one ends in an A4. So, I mean, they're different colors. And as you see, the pocket clip is in the opposite side. And this came right hand tip up. I just changed it over to left hand to show that how the pocket clip does transpose from one side to the other. Interesting, huh? Because they don't give you, that I can see, a left hand pocket clip. So this does switch, but it switches in a different kind of way, right? But hey, if you're a lefty, you've probably been fighting the world so long you don't care. You're just happy you get the opportunity to flip it over and do that. VG10, they're a decent medium size EDC, maybe really a full size EDC. And you know what? They have, if you can see kind of in here, you can see the bronze washers in there. They also have a synthetic washer on each side of the pivot as well. So they've doubled up with the synthetic and the bronze washers together. And I don't know if that really is like, it helps the action, because, let me show you. Okay, I took the blue one apart. On the side of the lock bar side, they have a smaller washer and then this nylon or Teflon synthetic. And the Teflon mates up with the blade, and that, the bronze, goes against the steel liner in both cases. This is obviously a bigger washer set there. Strange. And you can see that they've skeletonized the steel liners. Let me move this over so you can get a better overall look. So here's your standoffs, of course. That's your G10 scale on the side where I disassembled it. And your skeletonized liner. Nothing here, but this is your liner that's the lock part of the knife. And so you can see, what does it show? It shows that you have a blade stop up here, so that slips into both sides here. Yeah, and of course, lanyard hole, that kind of thing. But this gives you an idea why they did the nylon in pairing it with this. Did they find out that they needed more spacing? Did they find out that this would cause better action overall? I don't know. That's a good question. The brown has a blue accent around the pivot. Okay. And it's interesting. These knives came like, I mean, obviously I took this one apart so I could have got it back together backwards with the pivot, right? But this one has not been disassembled. And it's interesting that where the Torx fits, that this is not on the presentation side, that this is. Isn't that a little strange? Usually if you have a knife where, you know, you just have one side like this one, this is presentation side, nope. Backside, yes. I guess you could flip these around if you wanted to, but that's the way they came from uh, the retailer. Pocket clips, nothing extraordinary, like a stamped pocket clip, but you know, the one thing for sure is it comes back up, but it levels out. So this is pretty easy to get in your pocket. It's not overly stiff, but stiff enough to hold on. The lockup's pretty good, about 30%. Easy to disengage. This pass-through area here is pretty opened up, isn't it? And it went back together, and it's actually centered. It actually works. Once I took it apart, put it back together. This one has never been apart. But yes, different colors, although the same kind of color as far as the pivot ring goes. Like I said, ambidextrous thumb studs for right or left hand deployment. Plus, I like them ambidextrous anyhow. It just kind of balances the blade out. I don't like a single-sided thumb stud. I just don't. It might make sense in some cases, but just for the symmetrical look of it. Now, this is a flat grind, and so stone wash. Nice blade design. You could do some piercing. You can do some slicing. And let's see if we can slice like a Joe Blow piece of paper here. Okay, that'll work. This one, you're up, buddy. Okay, so yeah, they're sharp out of the box. Yeah, pretty good working edge there. Not that most wicked sharp edge I've ever felt on a knife from the factory, but it's pretty good working edge. Probably varies a little bit from knife to knife, I imagine. In any case, how much do they weigh and how long are they? Well, let's answer those questions. Let's just get a comparison for size with like a Para 2, which is 8¼ inches overall. Pretty much the same size, huh? Yeah, they look like it. Flip the aspect ratio around a little bit. Let's see what this is like. Yeah, there you go. Pretty much the same size, like I was saying. And according to White Mountain Knives, where you can buy these, and I'll give you the link to White Mountain. Justin's real nice. He's great to work with. So I buy my knives from him when I buy them. And I buy them like 95% of the time. Yeah. 8.125. So it's 8¼ over, just a little over 8 inches. 3.5-inch blade, blah, blah, blah. Here's your blade thickness. So it probably looks like about 3 millimeter. VG10, flat grind, stone wash, plain edge, blah, blah, blah. Handle length, stainless steel. 3.8 ounces, not bad. Made in China, by the way. I'm sorry. Kizer Knives is a Chinese knife company, in case you didn't know about that. So this knife is almost the exact same size. And, let me see if I can get my scale down here so we can confirm the weight of the knives. Seems pretty light. Let's just assume they weigh the same. 108 as far as grams, so yeah, it's pretty light. And, ounces, 3.8. That works. What did they say? 3.8. It's like right on. So I know the scale's correct. Nice, sharp, good looking. How do they feel in the hand? You know, the one thing, they're not very deep this way. So if you got big hands, you're kind of going to wrap around and around. You know, you're going to be putting your fingers right back in the palm of your hand because they, you know, they're fairly slender this way. But that's okay. Actually, the ergos are pretty good considering the ergos are pretty good on this knife. Feels good in the hand. I really don't have any complaints with this knife. I like the lanyard hold being pretty good sized. This might be a knife you'd want to put a lanyard in. Open design, easy to clean, standoffs look nice, sharpen, polished, sharpen them up, polish, and so the actual liners look well done. They don't look real crude or unfinished either, actually. And lockup's good. Easy to open, easy to close, pass-through is easy to get to disengage. So real easy to function with, real easy to flick open. Great blade shape, like I said, for slicing. And you always kind of got to take a look at that, but you get a lot of contact patch there. Of course, it's not a flipper, so you don't have a flipper tab to deal with. And I think deep down inside, yeah, there's a microfiber cloth down in here. You can kind of see it buried down there. So you get a microfiber cloth. So for $50 whatever, you get microfiber cloth, you get a decent box and paperwork. A nice knife, G10. It's attractive, but it's a user, and it's sharp, and VG10 steel's good. That's good stuff. So pretty non-corrosive, relatively decent at holding an edge. It's not a super steel, but really for an everyday user knife, I don't know I want a super steel. I could just as soon touch up the edge real easy and keep going. So it's kind of one of those choices. I don't want such a hard steel that I got to do diamond stones and stuff. I want something that I can touch up pretty easy. And yeah, I like it. Yeah. And it's in that price range, but it's in that price range, isn't it? It's in a price range where there's a lot of knives out there anymore, aren't there? I mean, you name it. Real steel, rake knives, best tech knives. Did I say steel wheel? I said rake, real steel, best tech. Yeah, and steel wheel. So you got knives, and I don't know. This one's not really in the same class. This is FRN, not G10. It's D2 though. So it depends. Do you like D2? That kind of thing, And even the Tuya knives. I'm kind of surprised that these guys play in the $40 range, but they do. So this is actually less expensive. This has D2 and ceramic bearings. This is kind of a different setup because this is a flipper, but the action, So, a lot of players in the market, it just keeps getting insane, doesn't it? Of course, you got, the SE knives as well, depending on how heavy a work knife, and the rat knives with SE Avispa, not only expat, but Avisa, Zancudo. You've got players, steel wheel with the Intrigue knives at different sizes. So it's amazing. It's just amazing. I don't know what else we got. And you got your Rat 1 knives in D2 as well. So a lot of knives out there. A lot of winners though, right? Because the consumer, you get to make a choice based on your preference of design, materials. Is FRN okay? Do you want it lighter? Do you mind if it gets a little heavier with G10 and maybe some heavier steel liners? As you see, these liners are exposed here. Some knives, no, they're inset into an FRN type scale. Makes it lighter, but not quite as robust maybe. So interesting. A lot of players in the marketplace think it's, here's your frame lock, right? So a lot of different steels, like on this expat, AUS 8, then you're going D2 around to VG10. Crazy world. Lots of choices. Yeah. And it's a good thing because it's a win all the way around for us. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. You know what we do around here. We love them knives. Of course we do. So stay sharp, my friends.